They've become almost as popular as your morning cup of joe. The sale of energy drinks continues to grow in this country, and that has prompted Health Canada to take a closer look at the beverage.
The government watchdog is actually looking at regulating the sale of energy drinks, such as Red Bull and Monster, because an expert panel has recommended that the federal health minister consider reclassifying caffeine-laden, heavily sugared energy drinks as a stimulant drug-containing drinks. That classification would yank them from the shelves of variety stores and supermarkets and have them sold under the supervision of a pharmacist. The Canadian Beverage Association asserts the expert panel's recommendations are completely unsubstantiated in science and their conclusions are unreasonable. If the government restricts the sale of these beverages, could other foods be next, say artery-clogging fast foods?
Let's find out. Joining us on the line today from Ottawa is Bill Jeffrey of the Centre for Science in the Public Interest. In Toronto, we have Frank D'Angelo, CEO of D'Angelo Brands. Next to him, David Menzies, a freelance writer whose recent article sparked this discussion. So, David, Health Canada's mandate is to keep Canadians healthy. Why shouldn't it investigate and, if necessary, regulate the foods we eat?
Well, Mark, according to the Canadian Beverage Association, there are numerous studies that refute the one before Health Canada. In over 160 countries, the EU, Australia, New Zealand, you name it, these energy drinks have not been linked to any kind of problems. And I mean, the way I look at it, Mark, is that this is the beginning of the slippery slope. Cheese is artery clogging. Are we going to yank cheese out of the grocer's dairy section and have that sold at Shoppers Drug Mart under the auspices of a pharmacist? I mean, this is the nanny state on steroids.
Okay, Frank, I'm going to ask you about your product, your energy drink, which is called Cheetah, but it's actually caffeine-free. Why did you choose to not put caffeine in your product?
Well, we don't have a problem with caffeine. I mean, it's no worse than any of the other stuff that's out there. But ourselves as a company, we feel like if you saw an 8-year-old child with a black double coffee in his hand, you'd think that there was something wrong with it. But yet, nobody sees an 8-year-old child with a heavy laced caffeine drink in his hand as a problem. We do. So as a company, we decided when we got in the energy drink business to come up with a product that does not have these properties. It's a 2,000-year-old recipe. It's made with ginseng and royal jelly and ginkgo biloba, and it gives you the energy without the heart palpitations and the panic attacks and some of the problems that these energy drinks are causing kids, especially when they're mixed with alcohol.
Bill, isn't it odd that Health Canada is targeting energy drinks when, according to a CBC report, it's ready to okay the expanded sale of non-cola caffeinated beverages?
Yeah, I mean, look, we have to look at the evidence here, and the evidence is fairly clear that there's a relationship between consuming high caffeine drinks. They're much higher in caffeine than a regular cup of coffee, and a lot of adverse health effects, particularly heart arrhythmias, most concerning, and even a couple of deaths, which haven't been conclusively linked to this product, but they're pretty suspicious. We have to be, I think, quite circumspect about backing away from a regulatory approach with these products.
David, I'll be honest, when Red Bull came on the market however many years ago, I was surprised that, suddenly it was available everywhere, because it did seem like, this is a product that could have an adverse effect. But why do you think that Health Canada is suddenly taking an interest now? Why weren't they looking at it before it was for sale?
Well, as far as I know, there's only 62 incidents of people having an adverse reaction to the energy drinks. And also, you got to get into the science. Was that because the energy drink was combined with alcohol, so there's some kind of a toxic soup being created? But what the professor just said there about the caffeine, according to, again, to the Canadian Beverage Association, Liz, gram for gram, an energy drink has half the caffeine of coffee. So I'm not sure where that fact came from.
But it's more concentrated, David. In the energy drinks, it's more concentrated, so there's a bigger impact. It's like having an espresso. You have this much coffee, right?
Okay. Okay.
And it gives you more impact because it's concentrated, the caffeine.
But also you are in control over how much you want to consume. If you're a parent, you're in control of what energy you want to drink. And actually, it's great that you have Mr. D'Angelo on, because this is showing how the free market economy works. You want a caffeinated energy drink? Go get a Red Bull or a Rockstar or a Monster. And again, there's nothing conclusive that these drinks are bad. You want a non-caffeinated energy drink? Get a Cheetah. What's wrong with that?
Hey, Frank, should Health Canada regulate drinks that have caffeine in them? We're talking about canned drinks here, and you're right. I mean, you see a kid with a cup of coffee, you go, hey, that's not right. You see him with an energy drink, I guess it's okay. Should there be regulations by Health Canada? Should you have to go to a pharmacist if you want that huge jolt of caffeine that some of these drinks offer?
I don't know if going to a pharmacist is the right way to go. I think that there should be a bit of a conscience on the retailer that you know, cigarettes are bad for you. It's a fact now. And now they've made it 18 or 19 to buy a pack of cigarettes. And I think, you know, Health Canada does have a responsibility as an agency to protect the taxpayers that fund this agency. I don't know what the right way or the right aspect is to police the beverage industry when products are being put out there that should not be in the hands of a certain age.
Okay.
I mean, even toys, they tell you what age they're for. I mean,
But nobody can stop you from buying a toy for any age.
That's correct.
It's just advice. Like, there is advice on the label. It's not good for pregnant women. It's not good for people sensitive to caffeine. It is on the label.
I agree with you 100%. So maybe that's the first step into having a bit of a conscience of where the energy drink, where it falls, whose hands it falls in.
All right, Bill, we've got about 45 seconds left. Should Health Canada have strict regulations on these caffeinated drinks?
Well, of course they should. I mean, when you have two deaths likely attributed to these, and a lot of other cases, 62 cases of not just adverse effects, but serious adverse effects, regulators have to step in. I mean, it's first of all, we have to accept that there is higher levels of caffeine in these than just a regular cup. You know, to see a 10-year-old going to a store and buying 5 cups of coffee and drinking them and imagining that there's not going to be an adverse effect on their health is just kind of crazy. I'm amazed that there haven't been more adverse reactions. Right.
Well, there may well be as time goes on, as long as these drinks are continue to proliferate. Thanks so much to Bill Jeffrey.
This is one of the recommendations of the report is that they explore those more. There are more sources of information. They expect that there are more adverse reactions.
I think it's a great idea. Bill Jeffrey from the Center for Science and the Public Interest. Thank you. Frank D'Angelo and David Menzies. Thank you all for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.